The way I got the name Talent Net Live is because I'm a huge fan of Saturday Night Live. And Kane's there, I could always just say, it's Talent Net Live. And it felt to me like Saturday Night Live, and that's exactly what I got to see. All right. Jackie and John are two of my favorite people, and they do a really fun weekly show on LinkedIn called Butt First Coffee.
It's right there right now.
And it's looking
Right there. Oh,
Yes,
and
it's
I'm right
on
here.
your butt. Turn around. Ratings just went up when it
That's
was
right.
on your butt. Thank you.
And you have to show your ID now. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Talent Net Live. So they're going to talk to us about continuing the conversation that we've been having. Then they're going to each do a little individual tee-up for us to break out into smaller groups and have conversations amongst ourselves. This is still an interactive thing, and so we do want your participation. I'm going to hand it over to Jackie and John.
Awesome. All right. Thank you. Everybody have a good lunch? Amazing. How many went to a food truck? Look at you. Very nice.
Win it also.
Yeah, yeah. And so we'll wait about 25 minutes and people start scurrying into the restroom.
That's what happens. That's right.
We'll know what happens.
It's a song. Hello.
Yeah, you're on. You're on, right? So we are, welcome, to have you all come back on the LinkedIn universe. We wanted to talk a little bit about, and this was really your idea, so I want to make you credit, right? We had so much AI chat that we also have to figure out how to have the human component in the AI world still exist. And is there's human brand that we have to be thoughtful of.
But not in the lame, let's put the human back in. Because we're not doing that. We're not doing that. I think experience, I don't know if you've been paying attention, no one cares about the candidate. Can we all just collectively admit that? Okay. Right, nobody cares. If they did care, we would have had this figured out a long time ago. We talked about the Candy Awards. We know what candidates have been longing for, and we're just not going to give it to them. And the challenge is now we have AI, so we're all giving them a really bad experience really fast, automatically, almost overnight. The candidates that we select to interview don't even know they applied for the job that they applied for.
Right.
And the recruiter who has to talk to them doesn't even know why this candidate was selected. That's just the world that we're in.
Well, I've had candidates apply, I think they're real, who have put their experiences through whatever platform of AI, and it spits out this resume for them that aligns to the job posting. And I will tell you, it comes across, I don't know, 75 to 100 times more competent than the actual person is. And because you talk to the person and you're like, your resume says this, and they're like, well, yeah, I worked there, but you have like 7 verbs in this one bullet point. That means you were doing things. And I think that this whole concept of trust is really starting to be an issue for us.
There's a app that I started using. You know, I was one of the 300,000, I would say the 300,000 Black women that got laid off in 2025. I'm one of the 300,000. And so.
Wait, you're Black?
The blackest. I'm so black, I'm blackety black.
Oh,
Blackety black. The blackest, to be clear. And I started using this thing called auto apply. Now, I have bad news for all of you that think you're gonna have knockout questions. So I didn't realize this and just figured it out. And if I applied and you come up to me, I am one of the ones that don't know that I applied for the job because it's on auto apply. And what it does is it not only applies, it also fills out all of the questions that they ask so that you don't know, so that you can tell it's a human or not. And I sounded brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But I did not fill those things out and was not sure of those things. We are not catching up fast enough as an industry with the technology that's there.
And so we do stupid things like I know we've talked about this, but you all saw the couple of those things this past week to 10 days of, please turn your camera on and let me see if you are currently using AI to help answer any of the questions that we have. Anybody see those couple of, fascinating. Where the candidate's like, I have to do what? I have to show you my phone? You want me to upload whatever after we're done? And like, we've just really become like, well, that's the way that we're going to handle this AI thing. We're going to make you feel even less human, right? In this process by making you feel badly, so that I'm going to punish. It's like the.
Let me see your hands.
Right.
Let me see your hands.
It's the because there's a couple of bad eggs. Like I went to Catholic school, and so one or two people ruined recess for everybody, right? Anybody a part of those things, and you're like, I was like the good kid. I swear, and I was mad at this other person because they ruined it for everybody. We're kind of finding ourselves in that space right now, I think, as recruiters.
But there's hope.
Yes.
You
What is
could
it?
actually, okay, there's hope.
There's hope. Good night.
How many of you work in the office? Okay, so for y'all, you call the candidate and you interview them.
What?
I know, like in person, like you invite them to the office, you get them to check in. I know this sounds archaic and crazy. Do it. Or call them.
Right. Yeah.
Not trying to take us backwards. I don't think it makes sense to criticize a candidate for using the latest technology in order to get a job with your organization. I think what's unrealistic is to think that everybody who works there doesn't use AI as well. And the thing that's important is that it's a whole separate language now. So that if you, there was somebody talked about hiring in the Philippines, it was Craig, about sending information to candidates. And I've told this story before. We were hiring for an HR VP, and because we were an AI company and I knew these were potential clients, I took the time to handwrite responses to every single candidate. There was over 3,000 candidates, and that's all I did for a month. And so many people told me that I was fake and I wasn't AI and I didn't know what I was talking about because nobody actually does this. And because I gave them specific examples, they knew that I was using AI to do it. And I wasn't. I swear I wasn't. I wanted to. I use it when I talk to my dad, but I did not use it when I talked to these candidates. And the thing is that we're starting to get to the point where we don't recognize that in order for this to be human, really, you are the difference.
Yeah.
You are the difference. The candidate is the difference. And that's the nuance that you can only get by meeting people in person or talking to them directly.
And that is the consistency that we need to continue to drive home, right? Because most people, the brand that you have as a human, right? We all know we've been to, thousands of employer brand chats, right? About how to make sure that our employer brand is what it should be. It's authentic. It's based on our values, all of these things. And that's terrific. But we really have to lean, I think, a bit more into this human brand because I am the one who is in charge of who I am and how I portray myself outward, right? So if I'm consistent in what it is that I do and how I do it, then that becomes part of my identification in the eyes of others. And that is something that I think we've not done a great job of trying to help people sort of get grounded in. Instead, we kind of bark at them and say, tech-related kinds of inquiries or questions or accusations, and forget that not everything is tech-related. And I will tell you, I run an organization called Humoriso, and Jackie knows this, and it's crazy. Early on, I'd say the first couple of times I used ChatGPT, and this is a little while back now, but the first couple of times I did, I asked it about Humoriso and what it knew about my own company. And it was not bad. What it told me about the company was pretty good, except just one one kind of core piece of information I thought was weird. ChatGPT told me who founded the organization and how long the person had been involved, but it wasn't me. And I'm the one who founded and started the company. It was a name, I don't even know the name. And I looked the person up and tried to figure out how ChatGPT would have associated the organization I started with this particular, I couldn't even find this name any way, shape, or form connected, right? And so I thought, well, what if I had made a hiring decision because I sent in a resume that said, I have been working at this organization for the last X amount of years, and the recruiter jumps on to ChatGPT and says, tell me about Humoriso, and it says, I think I blocked the guy's name out, whoever's name it was, I don't even remember. And it told the recruiter, Joe Smith started Humoriso. I'm going to tell you, more than not, the recruiter is going to think, woo, dodged a bullet in this one. Look at this fraudulent resume, right? I mean, that's what most of us would do. And I think that this is where, to your point about communication, conversation, pick up the phone and talk to somebody, right? Ask them, why am I making prejudgment using technology that might have now caused me to not even get past resume screening because it didn't align with ChatGPT. Yes, Craig, hand in the back, thank you.
You're going to search on yourself or your organization in this fashion, and I suggest you do it in an anonymous browser, okay? So click on Chrome or whatever, and do it so that it doesn't know who you are.
Incognito.
That's right,
Yeah.
incognito. And that'll get you the actual results that everyone else sees.
And thank you for that. And it can be scary. And so what did I have to start doing? I had to start telling it truths about, me and link it to things that prove that I actually was the one who started this company, and linked it to Sunbiz in Florida and New Jersey, where I originally started the LLC, and all these just to show that there was alignment.
We also have to be proactive because you're looking at, you're thinking about it. Every manager, every recruiter is using that when you're not paying attention and screwing up their interviews.
Yeah.
So if you look up Jim Durbin hat, it thinks I was on American Idol, but it shows my picture that says I was on American Idol.
Were you on American Idol?
Were you?
I mean,
Yes.
like,
Sorry, it's the same. And the other guy sitting in a bar and I'm arguing with the 27-year-old, he pulls up his phone. What is common? And then begins to read it off to me. That was his argument. Reading it off there.
Right.
He believed it was true.
Yes.
And now people aren't telling you, so they're not telling you where did you get that information. It's something as simple as, I looked at ChatGPT and pulled this, is this accurate? It's a small thing, but if you're not asking that, and you're just randomly saying it, everyone thinks AI is so smart and they're getting wrong answers.
That could be a violation of the Fair Credit Reporting Act. honestly.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
well, the other part is we need to make sure, because they say that it's not biased because it is a computer. You're kidding yourself. It's absolutely biased. And if somebody decided that you should use this tool when you ask it, like, what should I make for dinner? Someone told it that you should have lentils. I don't know who, but somebody did. And you can go, and when you're looking at it, trying to figure out, like, the way we talk a lot about hallucinations, but I don't know if everyone here knows a little
AI
bit more
hallucination.
about how, not the kind from the 90s, and I won't tell you how.
Not the Durbin arguing with 27-year-old LSD hallucination.
Yeah, not that one. But when you go in, it actually, when you go and have these job descriptions, and you say, oh, you change one piece, if you're not looking at it, it's changing all the pieces. It changes something else, and it'll be so ambiguous that you won't even notice it. It'll be something really small. But understand that candidates are using it. You should find out about the company that you work for. And then also get really real about what your company's internal culture is. And use it as you're recruiting and talking to candidates, because again, the difference is the person and the nuance. I have a thought that when you're recruiting, especially to have longevity, it's really important to know if this person is going to be a fit to the minimum of your culture. We want people that can add different things, but you're going to have to figure out what your company is, who your company is. But it's important to also look that information up so that you can be more human and talk about what's really going on within your organization, so that because if you're using ChatGPT for your job descriptions or using Claude, then you're also not interviewing to the nuance of your organization. You're interviewing to the nuance of Claude or Gemini or whoever else you're using.
And that is a lot of intent, right? So one of the hardest things to do as a candidate who then maybe becomes, right, an onboarded employee is, how do I build intent? That they can trust that my intentions, that's what I mean by intent, right? It's part of intentions, that my intentions are for the health of the organization, that I do want to understand, I don't want to say assimilate, but understand the culture as it is today, and then see how what I bring to the table can help to augment and improve. And I think we do still have a lot of humanity at play in those pieces where maybe if we're worried about tech on the candidate side, how can we be thoughtful about tech as well internally? I'll give you a great, for example. There's a company that just hired their first human resources professional in a full-time capacity of their organization. 138 employees. They've never had an HR person. The CFO was handling it. And we all know that makes all the sense in the world. So they hired this person. He, first week, got to know the organization a little bit more in depth, started to kind of itemize some things that he saw that he was going to want to jump in on. Week 2, they asked him also, hey, do you know anything about job banding and helping us to sort of define career progression? Yes, he starts to outline those things. The end of week 2, they take him aside and say, you're crushing this. We're so excited you're here. Thank you so much for what you're doing. Monday morning, after that second week, Monday morning, 9:15 a.m., they let him go. And they let him go because the CFO said, it's not you, it's me. You're gonna get bored at this job, and I don't wanna see you put time in here when I know you're gonna be bored. Because you're gonna take care of everything and then have nothing to do. So let's just end it now. And they let him go. Now,
He didn't go back and set them on fire?
I mean, I was like, I'm so sorry. Because the onus in the interview process was, show us that we can trust in you to be the first person we bring into this organization in that capacity. What he forgot to do was ask the same of them, right? And so as a candidate, I think we have to be ready for those that have been, it's going to affect how he approaches his next round of interviews for his next position. Now, you can be sure of that he's going to be asking questions. And now we're going to have companies that might say, oh, he's asking, questions about intention. And who does he think he is? Well, he's just been burned. So he's bringing that to the table. And how is that next recruiter going to receive it? So you only lasted 2 weeks at your last job? Ugh. Right? We know. Ugh. Right? And he can sit there all day long and say, I swear my character is such X, right? My intent is such X. He can say all those things, but we've got to be careful of even without the tech, our own bias that's really impacting the way that in this example, this man's brand is being portrayed.
I think another part is people are pulling away from social media now more in droves. Like we're seeing people, I'm just not participating. Standard social media sites that used to be really fun are no longer fun because you're getting pitched to, the ads, all of the different things. I think YouTube has a really great algorithm in the way that it puts stuff to you. It's random. I don't know what it says about you when you are like the videos that it sends you. But that's who you are. That's what you like. But on the other things, we're just getting fed information, getting fed all of the time. And so as a result, it's going to be more difficult to find these candidates. And it's going to be more difficult in trying to pitch your organization. And so it's going to be important that you get real and do it around your actual culture. I always say, think about your company and who do you think that you should fire, but you won't? Who is the person that everybody hates? And who do you think should get promoted, but they're not? Take a minute, chew on that. Okay, that's your company culture. And so it's important to be able to recruit to that, like of knowing what's going on when you're interviewing candidates. Because you will stand out as being different, being a truth teller, because there's so many organizations that try to paint this rosy picture of what's going on, only for them to either get it wrong because they went to ChatGPT, or not being able to get a clear picture and being miserable. Because we're seeing turnover that's higher and higher in droves. And the other part is we have to, as like talent professionals, take our power back and not give it to hiring managers and organizations when this is our area of expertise. That's what is so painful about AI in our industry. They think so little of the work that we're doing, that all of talent acquisition can be outsourced, all that we need for, open enrollment for benefits is ChatGPT. We don't need anybody. And it's because we allowed other people. We don't flex our expertise as to understanding what goes on within organizations, and we can't outsource. You can't outsource nuance.
Well, and we love technology, right? We have proven that in the HR and TA tech space. Look at how much money is spent annually, right, on tech. We love tech, so we're not saying that there isn't a place for that. It's just its utilization. One of the things that I think about often with AI is. It was initially sort of sold to me that it helps to sort of clarify what I do and how I do it in terms of messaging, so that it will give me sort of a level of AI supported authenticity, that I'm going to be even clearer in who I am pushing forward. But in some ways, we're moving towards AI influenced sameness, because we're all kind of using it the same way and it's spitting out the same things. We talk about the M-dash, all these things that we see. Oh, that's AI. Look at all the dashes. Look at this. Look at that. And I wonder if that isn't really speaking to us on that sameness level, as opposed to the authenticity it was maybe originally intended to. And and Jackie's going to chat for a minute on some other things that she's got going on. But you're going to ask something? Is that what you're doing?
I now attempt to replicate the dashes with the arrow as this leads to this, leads to this.
Yeah.
And you guys ChatGPT to map something out. It does all these cool things. And rather than fighting against it, I'm like adding it to the things that I'm actually writing down. I think it's just a better way to visualize stuff.
And I don't want to, right, this is what we do. We like to paint with a broad brush, but there's a place for it. But I would say then just measure it up against your originality. I was an English major in undergrad. I was an English major because I like to write. I was not gunning for HR, so to speak, but it has helped me a ton in the HR work that I've done through the decades. And one of the things that I would say about that English major bit is it's kept me grounded in originality. For me, I journal every morning because it helps to keep my brain fresh, right? As I'm going to approach, what am I going to do after I'm done journaling? Open my laptop and start click for 10 hours. That's what I'm going to, we all have to figure out ways. And that's a great question even to ask a candidate. What do you do to not get discouraged by the amount of tech that's kind of hovering over your head? What have you found yourself doing? I love that question, and it's fun to listen to people's answers. Like, I go play golf, and I'm like, well, now I definitely won't hire you because that's awful. Ew. But are you want to go into your segment next?
I don't know. I'm a little nervous. I'm feeling a little nervous.
No, don't be nervous. Jackie Clayton, everybody.
Hello. Okay, so I kind of, yeah, do you want to? You want to?
Yep.
I have been working on a little thing. Ooh, look, I can't say that I'm going to debut in front of the